All right, thanks for clicking on today's video. It's going to be a fun one today. I'm sipping on my Diet Coke. But today, as you can tell by the title, we got May 2026 new releases ranked. This list is both going to include theatrical as well as streaming new releases that came out in the month of May, the ones I was able to catch. So today we got 10 films to talk about, 10 films to rank. So sit back, grab your snack, grab a Diet Coke, or grab a drink of your choice, and let's get this video rolling. All right, so there's two on here that I actually didn't do full-on reviews for. So if you want to see more of me talk about the movies on this list, there's going to be 8 of them that I actually did video reviews for. So keep that in mind. And if you're interested, like I said, be sure to check out those videos. But coming in at number 10 is Passenger. So this one was my least favorite of the month. And it hurt because I actually was excited for this film ever since I saw the teaser trailer in front of Scream 7. I was like, this film looks cool. It had a really cool jump scare in the teaser trailer that I didn't even see coming. And just the whole endless loop down the highway gave me vibes of In the Mouth of Madness, John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. Basically, it's about a couple who goes on a van life expedition. They sold their belongings, left their apartment, and hid in the road. And when that happens, they stop and help a fellow person in the accident who was in the beginning of the movie. And basically, a road demon attaches onto them, and the remaining of the movie is just them fighting the demon. So this one seems to be mixed. Some people enjoyed it, but it looked like it got a little bit panned. And I went in hoping I was going to be on the side of I really want to enjoy this movie, but there was just a lot going on that I couldn't click with. I do want to hit this one up again in a few months when it hits streaming. I'll check it out one more time and give it another watch because, like I said, it kind of hurts that this is number 10. I was excited for it. It looked promising. It had Jacob Scipio, who I'm a fan of, and it just looked cool on paper. But the execution just didn't work for me. And even when I rewatched the trailer after I saw this movie, there are a few scenes in the trailer that looked really, really cool that didn't even make the final movie. And there's just a lot of tonal mislashes in here. It followed tropes that is not a bad thing, but it just didn't execute them really that well. There's really only 2 scenes that stand out in my mind that really were cool. It was the intro, which would have made a really cool horror short film by itself. And then there was a scene later on in the movie involving a movie projector that was really cool and kind of gave a Nightmare on Elm Street vibe to it. But those are really only the 2 strongest moments for me. There was a few other positives scattered about that I mentioned in that longer review I made. But overall, yeah, this one just didn't work for me. It just had weird chemistry between our leads. The movie didn't really go anywhere in Act 2, and I found myself really bored during it. And then the whole climax was just really ridiculous. And for it being a climax too, was kind of anticlimactic. So when those credits rolled and I left the theater, I couldn't help but feel very disappointed in this. But hey, I will try to get another watch of this in 2026 sometime and see if it moves up on my list for the end of the year. But right now it is on the bottom, right next to the Yeti for overall movies I've seen throughout 2026, overall new releases. And in May, it's on the bottom. All right, coming in at number 9 is The Devil Wears Prada 2. And this is one that really wasn't on my radar. The girlfriend wanted to see this, so we went the opening night it came out. And to get ready for it, I did rewatch because I did see the original like years back. And again, these are not my kind of movies, but I rewatched it, and overall, it was a solid, fun movie. Stanley Tucci was on fire during that. He was funny, and Meryl Streep was just killing it up, chewing up her role in the original. So I was like, you know what? Devil's Wear Prada 2, it could be a fun time. Again, not my kind of movie. And just being someone going in open-minded, it didn't do a whole lot for me. The sequel wasn't, as good as the original. There's a lot of things going on in this one, and I'll dive in a little bit more, but I won't spend too much time on this movie. Like I mentioned, Meryl Streep in the original one really got into the role. She was mean. She was just the things she did kind of made you laugh and was like, I would not want to work here. And they kind of softened that down in the sequel here. So she didn't really shine as much as her character in the other one. And the whole plot looked like it was trying to say something about how people aren't really reading into journalism. It's all online now. So there's like their company's kind of tanking, but it really didn't commit to a message. It was just kind of in the air, and it didn't really get resolved in that regard. And then the whole character arc for Anne Hathaway in the first movie about how, essentially like don't sell your soul for your job. It's important to have a life outside of work. It kind of just doesn't fully give justice to that character arc because, again, if you're interested in this movie, I'm not going to spoil things, but it didn't really work the way I wanted it to. And then the scenes too were just kind of felt like a straight to streaming movie. Like I forget what country they go to in this one. I think it's Rome, or they go overseas, and like you would think there would be some cool, beautiful shots, exploring that city, some cool aerial shots, and everything in here came weak. Even the fashion show scenes, we saw this in Dolby, and then it's not really a Dolby movie, but I was like, hey, maybe there'll be cool fashion montages, catwalk montages. The music will be going off, colors will be vibrant, but even those were just really weakly done and really didn't justify a really big screen experience. So overall, yeah, this movie didn't really do much for me. Anne Hathaway was good in it, but even then, her character, for me personally, felt a little off. Like she didn't really feel like the character that she was in the first one. And I just, like I mentioned, rewatched the first one with my girlfriend a few nights before that one. But yeah, overall, just wasn't really big on it. And again, it's not my kind of movie, but there was enough fun to be had here and there. But overall, just kind of felt bored during it as well. All right, coming in at number 8 is Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan Ghost War. So this one came out on May 20th on Prime. So if you're interested in this one, it is on Amazon Prime. It was a straight to streaming movie. And I did watch the Jack Ryan shows a few years back, and this one is just kind of a continuation of that. Now, it's been so long since I've seen those shows that I don't really fully recall what happened. So I will say I didn't feel lost during this movie, and I don't really think you need to see the shows technically to kind of get into this. But if you're looking for a fun little espionage thriller, this will definitely scratch that itch. Now, I would say from what I remember, it's not as good as what the show was, but it was fun seeing John Krasinski come back. You probably know him from The Office, and it is a little jarring at first, especially when I started the first season of this, to see him play some CIA operative because I just know him from The Office. But he's not really an operative; he's more of an analyst for the CIA who gets pulled into the field. So it fits the character, fits the vibe it's going for. But essentially, the plot's just him not really in the field anymore. He's retired. He's working on Wall Street, and then he gets recruited by Greer, his boss, to do another mission. And then it unravels to Black Ops, rogue agents planning a terrorist attack. So your fun little generic CIA operative thriller that hits streaming. That's really what this felt like. It was cool for me because I did like the show and was sad to see it end. I could have done another season, but it was basically one of those movies where it's like uh, going to a high school reunion. But yeah, it was just kind of one of those movies where it's cool to see your characters back together and a little bit of fan service to the show, but it didn't really add anything new. It didn't really set up anything too crazy that it can go down in the future. And it was just kind of, hey, if you're craving Jack Ryan on a Sunday night, it's worth checking out, or even just a fun espionage thriller. But just kind of felt a little bit of a peg down than what the show entailed. There's some good action scenes in here, nothing magnificent. And I even like jokingly thought when it opened up in Dubai, I was like, you can't open up a straight to streaming spy movie in Dubai after Mission Impossible had Tom Cruise climb the tallest building in Dubai for real. Like that dude, Tom Cruise is an animal. So that was kind of a funny joke I thought of, and I was like, you're not going to top that. So let's move countries. But overall, fun little espionage thriller that I didn't think it was as bad as everyone seemed to think it was. But again, it wasn't great either. It's just landing on number 8 on my list. And again, Sunday night, looking for a spy flick. Worth checking out, but nothing too special in this one. That being said, if you have time to fit in, 8 episodes of a few seasons, definitely recommend the show over this. But yeah, let's move on. All right, coming in at number 7 is another streaming movie that came out May 1st on Shudder, and that is Heresy. So this is another one I did a full video on. And by the way, this one got up there in views. So thank you if you watched it, and thanks for checking that video out, because that was cool to see. If you haven't seen it yet and want to hear me talk about this movie a little bit more after this little blurb, if it interests you, be sure to check that video out. But essentially, this is a witchy folklore horror film. And the cool thing about this too, it's literally under an hour, or I think it's 61 minutes, including the credits. So it's a very short watch, and it's worth checking out, especially if you like, folk horror and witch genre horror, and even Robert Eggers' The Witch. It kind of had that old time vibe to it. Again, Robert Eggers' The Witch is on a whole nother level, but this one does scratch that itch if you are craving something new in that realm. So basically, this woman who can't get pregnant, it's causing some rift between her and her husband. She wanders out into the woods, and one of the town villagers ends up assaulting her. And after that happens, there's a witch in the woods, and rest of the 40 minutes I won't spoil, but it's visually really cool. It's almost like a trippy, psychedelic aspect to it that I really enjoyed watching, especially at late at night with the lights off. It really immerses you in that atmosphere. And again, just the psychedelic visuals towards the later half of the movie go hard. So it's definitely worth a watch. And it had some really cool, creepy, eerie imagery to it. There was a really standout scene that I mentioned in my review that was a really cool practical effect on a kill that kind of reminded me of Halloween, the holiday, those animatronics you would see walking into Spirit Halloween store. But again, just overall, I really dug what this movie was doing visually. The plot is your basic, what you get from movies like that. There's nothing really new added to it, but it scratches that itch if you're looking for a folk horror film. And again, it's a really short watch, so it's worth checking out if you have Shudder. And the acting all around is really cool too. And that's another fun fact about this is a Dutch movie, and it actually isn't technically a quote unquote movie for them. It aired on TV. So this is what their TV shows look like out there. I'm interested to see what else their TV shows cook out there, because this was really well done, especially for a TV movie. And again, I'm counting it as a movie. It's 60 minutes and it's not really a TV show. So this is making that list. Coming in at number 6 is The Punisher, One Last Kill. Now, this one came out mid-May, May 12th, I believe it was, and this one's on Disney Plus. So if you want to check this out, it's on Disney Plus. It's straight to streaming, and this is again kind of one of, like Heresy. It's a shorter film, and I'm counting it as a movie. It's more of like a Marvel television and TV special, but it's not. There's no episodes, and it's 45, 50 minutes long. So again, very easy watch, and will definitely scratch your itch when it comes to action and brutal action. So don't worry, Disney does not baby or water down the character of the Punisher. This goes full on Punisher. A lot of great brutal violence in it. So really fun time. And the reason why it's a little bit lower on the list is, again, do have a video on this if you want to check it out. I go a little bit deeper, but basically, if you've been keeping up with John Bernthal's interpretation of the Punisher in his own Netflix show he had, and his appearance in the Netflix Daredevils, and even in the reboot Daredevil that hit Disney Plus, Daredevil Born Again season 1, he was in there a few times. But overall, seems like we're really hammering the origin of this character, and they're not letting him put on the badass costume, the black trench coat, black bulletproof vest with the white skull, and letting him go full on Punisher. It's still John Bernthal in everyday clothes, dancing between, am I Punisher, am I not Punisher? And it's just it felt repetitive, and it almost felt like another reboot of this character, when it's like, we don't need that, we get it, we just want him to be Punisher. That being said, though, it does have, like I said, really cool action. In the last 20 minutes of this is just a full blown action scene. If you're a fan of that trapped action, such as like The Raid, when they're going through apartment buildings just kicking ass, or even the movie Dread that and has Judge Dredd, that 2000, I think it was 2008 one, where he's in that building kicking ass again, it has that similar vibe to it. So if you're fans of those kind of action, or action in general, definitely put this on your list, because it is good. It is well done overall, but I just wish we got more of a Punisher story rather than another felt like repetitive origin story to him. So that's why it's a little bit lower on this list. But overall, did have fun with this. I did enjoy it. Definitely recommend it if you're a fan of action or John Bernthal's interpretation of the Punisher, if you have seen those. So it's not really worth skipping. It is a good time, and it kind of fills in that gap loosely between like how we're going to see him in Spider-Man Brand New Day and in between where he left off in Daredevil Born Again season one. So loosely fills in that gap. Doesn't really set up anything too extravagant for that, but hey, if you're Craven Punisher, want to see what he's been up to and kind of feel a little bit repetitive, check this one out. All right, so now we are at our top five, and this was pretty hard for me to narrow down, especially five and four, because I feel like they're kind of equal to me. There's things that work for them, things that don't work, and I do want to revisit number five again when it comes out here on streaming or physical release because I did enjoy it, so I might end up even getting it. But without further ado, number five is Hokum. So this one was another one I did a video on. So again, if you want to check that out, be sure to do so. But essentially, you get a very cool ghost-esque hotel horror flick. We got someone who's grieving something that happened in their life. I won't really touch on it because I forget how obvious it is or if it's kind of revealed, but something happened and he goes to a hotel to no, it is said. So his mother did pass away, or I think it's his mother and his father, and he goes there to scatter the ashes. And along the way, it turns out that this hotel is haunted. There's some stuff going on, and it's really cool to follow that journey. So I won't really go into much detail besides that, but it does have some cool turns. It kind of turns into almost a murder mystery at one point instead of a horror film, but it has those two merge, which I love both of those genres. So seeing them clash like that was a really cool experience. And then again, the atmosphere of this, I mentioned it in my review video of this, but it made me like fall in love with hotel horror again, and it made me want to go check out some more hotel horror movies. If you're a fan of The Shining, it definitely reminded me of The Shining in a few aspects. So definitely put this on your horror watch list if you did end up missing this. I think it had a limited release compared to all or limited theatrical release. It didn't hit the broad theaters like the other horror movies did in May. So this one was a little bit lower, but hey, definitely worth checking out when it hits streaming or, like I said, physical media release. I thought the acting across the board in this was really good too. It did have really cool tension built scenes leading to the jump scares that were scattered through this, and none of the jump scares really felt too obvious or cheap, which I appreciated. And the overall theme and exploration of this and kind of like the digging in your past and facing those. I thought that theme was really cool and really well done with the ideas they had on display here. And the thing that didn't really fully work for me for this movie was that where like the third act and some of the reveals that happened. Again, I'll keep it spoiler free, but it kind of ends in a way where you're like, at least I was. And again, I won't dive into too much of that. I think I dive into a little bit in my video review for it. So if you end up seeing it and want to check that out, definitely do that. But yeah, that was basically my biggest gripe with it was the third act and some of the reveals that happened. But overall, with the stacked horror we had in May, Holcomb is definitely a good addition to that. So I enjoyed it. And again, that was early May, so I do want to revisit this and see it. I'm blanking on a few aspects, but I do recall really do enjoying this film. All right, so I figured I'd get a little bit more light in here. It's getting a little dark, and we're moving on to number four. And like I mentioned, five and four were pretty neck to neck. And I think upon rewatch of Hokum, I think this could even surpass my number four. And number four is the recent Backroom. So this one seems to be a little divisive on the internet. You know, you got people that really enjoyed it, people that really didn't care for it, or just overall found it confusing. And something about this movie just worked for me. And I do have my gripes with it, and I won't spend too much time talking on this. Again, did another video review on this. So if you want to check that out, be sure to do so. But essentially, you got a furniture store owner who finds a hidden other dimension room in his furniture store. And it's just these endless hallways, it's liminal space. And he goes on a little discovery through it. And that's all I'll say, because if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go into this one as blind as you can and see how this works for you. But it's a little bit more surreal than the movies on this list, and it's a little bit more ambiguous than the movies on this list. And usually, when it comes to the ambiguous nature of films, I'm hit or miss on. And I felt like Backrooms did enough where it sprinkled in a couple answers, a couple things where you don't feel full, where you don't fully leave with like, what did I just watch? You do have, at least I did. I had that reaction, but I also was able to answer my own questions in my head a little bit. And the more I digest this movie and the more I chew on it, it's makes a little bit more sense to me. But again, it doesn't. So very, very interesting, weird film. I did enjoy all the found footage elements of this film, and I'm someone who's not really big on found footage. They are hit or miss for me, but I felt like the found footage in this were the strongest points of the film. And it would be actually interesting to see like a full-on found footage Backrooms movie. And I know how that's how the shorts started on YouTube. So Kane really, the director, really dialed that in. And like I said, the strongest points of this movie was that. And on top of that, this one did have a very strong first act, and then it kind of got into more of the gripes and more of the curious, like what's going on here in nature in the second act. And there's little character motivations that didn't fully make sense. There's some reveals again that didn't fully make sense, and just the overall package of the movie was divisive, but I leaned more positive. And like I mentioned, Hokum is just up neck to neck with Backrooms. They both, in my eyes, are like 4 out of 5. So they're battling there, and there's chance for one or the other to move up and down when I revisit them. And I do want to revisit both of these. But as someone who hasn't really seen, I saw clips of that 9 minute short, and I do want to watch it. But after the movie, I did visit the shorts, like the 2 minute shorts episodes that they had on YouTube, and I definitely saw the aesthetic that the movie was going for. But on top, like what I was trying to say is basically I went in not really knowing the history of Backrooms, wasn't familiar with the creepypasta, wasn't familiar with YouTube shorts. And I didn't really feel lost. In the moments I did feel lost, I felt like it was just the movie and not me having the background knowledge. So again, you don't need to know much. I'm sure it probably enhances the experience and probably helps, but I feel like if you're not familiar with it, it's definitely worth checking out and just seeing how the movie sits with you. Uh, like I said, very cool atmospheric film. I enjoyed the cosmic horror vibes it had with it, with like the other dimensions and basically humans not really mattering in the grand scheme of things. It had that kind of vibe going into it. Another cool thing about Backrooms, like Holcomb and Backrooms definitely had interesting, deep themes to explore. Backrooms just had a few more that I was very impressed by after leaving the theater. That I was like, because the director of this is 20 years old, and it's just kind of impressive that he was able to work those in a way that didn't feel too forced, but also didn't feel too left out. There were some that were kind of felt like they weren't explored enough, but overall left more positive with this movie. All right, so we're moving on to number 3. And in terms of me not sounding like a broken record, the rest of the 3 are also ones that I did cover on my channel. So if what you hear interests you and you haven't seen those videos yet, you know what to do. But number 3, we're going to be putting The Mandalorian and Grogu. I was actually pretty surprised by this movie too. I'm actually kind of surprised by the lower reviews it has gotten. I found this really, really fun. And just like Backrooms, I went in not knowing the full Mandalorian Grogu history. I did end up getting season 1 in before I saw this movie, and I do still want to see season 2, season 3. But yeah, I never saw the shows before. When I was gearing up, like I said, did watch season 1, and I think that helped to a degree. But this does feel like a self-contained solo adventure. And hey, it's summer, it's popcorn blockbuster season, and this is exactly what that was in my eyes. I left, I had a fun time watching it. There was good comedic moments. There was really cool grand action that I'm surprised people are saying this kind of felt like a straight to streaming movie, because I didn't really feel that way. There was really like The opening scene was awesome. The alien battle world in the ring was really cool, and the fights at the climax. I'm kind of confused on that aspect. I do get the complaint about this movie how it feels like you just binged the whole like season 4 because it kind of feels episodic in its plot. But hey, I had fun with it. It was better than I expected it to be. The score was really cool, and like I mentioned in my video, was the score song is called Shikari. Love that song. I've been or love that music. I don't know if you call it a song, but I've played in my car here and they're driving, and it's basically a really cool synth piece that showed up in the battle world. And the score was great. Grogu was cute. He was funny. He had really time to shine in the movie, especially in the later half. He goes on his little own solo adventure, so you see him contribute to their relationship and see him, using what he learned from the Mandalorian to keep going. But yeah, this is one that I was actually kind of surprised by the lower negative reviews on this one. But overall, like I mentioned, great popcorn fun. I won't spend too much time on this, but if you were kind of on the fence on it, definitely recommend it. I think you'll have a blast with it, especially if you like that genre, sci-fi action. It's just a really good time. Obviously, it's not going to be as grand as the Skywalker trilogy, but it's a nice street level Star Wars, something new, something fresh in this universe, and overall just fun. So number 3 is The Mandalorian and Grogu. All right, so number 2 is Mortal Kombat 2. This is another one just like Mandalorian and Grogu, where it's just pure popcorn summer fun. And this one is just as action heavy, if not more, and just had a really, really fun time with this one. A big highlight of this was the addition of Carl Urban playing Johnny Cage. He was spectacular in this, did a really great job, and just his character introduction had me laughing. And this one really had uh, brutal, gory fatalities. It didn't hold back. It was a lot of fun. And unlike the first one we got, which I actually enjoyed more than most, it seemed like this one was a tournament. This one was battle after battle after battle. And if you were wanting more gory fatalities in Mortal Kombat, this one definitely delivered. Now, it's not a perfect movie. The plot is thin. And the reason why it's so high, though, is just because my overall enjoyment with it was awesome. I want to get it when it gets out on physical media. But like I said, just a really fun popcorn movie. And besides Carl Urban, Adeline Rudolph also played a main character in this. She was Katana, and I thought her character arc was really well explored, and her overall portrayal of the character was a lot of fun. She had a really cool fight scenes with it, and you can just tell everyone that was making this are Mortal Kombat fans and just having a blast making it. And for someone who's not too familiar with Mortal Kombat, you definitely don't feel lost. You don't feel like you're not like understanding what's going on. It's just a really fun action film. And all the returning characters were a lot of fun too. Josh Lawson as Kano, great time. He adds a different kind of comedic element to it that Carl Urban doesn't. So both of those characters have different, timing, different styles of comedy. So it was just didn't feel too overdone. It felt different when each character was on screen. I still want him, Kano, to get his mechanical eye. I felt like they had a prime moment in this one to do that. They didn't do it, so I was like, what was going on with that? And then I wasn't really big on the way they handled Cole Young. He was one of the characters that appeared in Mortal Kombat. The first one of this one, I think it was 2002, or no, not 2000, 2022 or 2000, something along those lines. But yeah, his character wasn't in the video game, so a lot of the video game fans, I guess, weren't big on his character. So they do something in here that didn't handle, but it also makes sense because you're in a tournament, so don't want to spoil it, but it's pretty obvious probably what happens. But again, where this movie goes in the third act, it has something that does happen with like resurrection and whatnot that kind of makes the stakes kind of feel like they might go down a little bit now in Mortal Kombat 3 if you can just resurrect anyone and stuff. So that was kind of a questionable decision on that end. But again, it's fantasy, it's whatever. So it's interesting to see what they will do with that. But overall, yeah, this is just a lot of fun. And I do highly recommend it if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat or if you're a fan of just action in general, because this definitely scratches that itch. It's action heavy, it's fun, it's funny at times, and overall just a really fun popcorn movie. All right, so now we are at number 1, and I am sure you probably know what this one's going to be. And this is going to be Obsession. This is Curry Barker's technically first debut feature film. He's done some YouTube stuff in the past, had a longer YouTube movie, Milk and Cereal, but this is his debut. This is his feature film, and the internet is eating it up. They're glazing it more than a Krispy Kreme donut, and it's well deserved. Don't get me wrong. So I won't spend too much time on this. Again, I'll plug in the video. I did go on a huge talk on this. I think it's like 20 plus minutes long. And speaking of which, it is my most viewed video as of right now. So I do appreciate the support that video's gotten. If you've watched it, I thank you for that. And I feel like just everyone that's seen this movie is just watching every video possible of this. Everyone's talking about it. It's still being talked about, weeks later. It had a 30% increase on the box office the week after. So it's doing very, very well. And I think it's like the first movie ever, or first movie in a while, to go over the 100 million box office number for being a movie that only took $1 million to make. So it's doing fantastic. It's bringing people back to the theaters. It's making people fall in love with horror again. So it's just doing awesome. Indy Navarrete does a very awesome performance in this, and it's Oscar worthy in my opinion. And I hope she does get nominated at least for it, because she is the key reason, for me at least, why this movie worked as well as it did, why I felt unsettled in the moments that I was supposed to feel unsettled. She just did an amazing job. And all around, the acting was great. The direction that Curry Barker went was awesome. The scene that really stood out to me and was the game changer of this movie was the bedroom scene. And if you somehow haven't seen it yet, I won't spoil it or go into details, but if you have seen it, you exactly know what I'm talking about. That was the game changer for me. And everything after that movie just was 0 to 100, and it was just like chef's kiss. So Obsession obviously is number one. It's number one for me overall in 2026 too. So it is up there. I'm not sure if anything will knock it down. We got a lot of cool movies coming out here soon. I do want to rewatch Obsession, and my girlfriend actually wants to see this now because of all the glaze she's been hearing. So we're gonna try to get that another theater watch in here. I do want to revisit this, but yeah, it seems like everyone's obsessed over Obsession. It's one of those movies that you still think about. Like to this day, I'm still thinking about certain scenes, and there's themes in there that you kind of can still chew on and digest after the credits roll and weeks after, and just it sits with you. It's just a lot. I haven't had a movie make me feel like that in a while, so that was a very awesome experience. All right, so there we have it. That is the new releases that I was able to catch in May, and those are my rankings of them. Again, this is just the rankings as of today. I do want to revisit a handful of these movies, so some of them may move up, move down, and I do plan on at the end of the year just doing a whole new release yearly ranking. That might be a long video, but again, this is just as of now what I thought of May. I'm excited for June. There's a lot of good stuff coming out in June, so end of June I'll do another one. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I was gonna say something. Oh, there is one movie, again, a movie that's not really in my realm of movies that I would go see, but my girlfriend wants to go see this, and it does look like it's getting a lot of good write-ups, and that is Sheep Detective. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see that in May. We're actually going to plan to see it on Tuesday in June. So I might mention where I would put that in the ranking if I do end up talking about it. If I do really enjoy that movie, I might just make a separate video on it because I didn't get to make my May ranking. But yeah, it's kind of looks like a good family fun movie, murder mystery. So uh, should be interesting. But yeah, as always, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video just as much as I enjoyed making it. And thank you guys again. I say thank you all the time, and I truly mean it. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button. It lets me know that you are liking these types of videos. And if you found yourself stumbling upon this video and you're like, who's this dude? And you liked what you saw today, you can always subscribe and see more of me in the future, talk movies. I cover horror, action, thriller, comic book movies the most, and I do fun little videos like this too. I do want to do more types of rankings and more random like ranking and tier lists down the road. So I'll have those coming hopefully soon. And there's a lot of movies I watched throughout the month that don't see the light of day on YouTube. And you can follow me on Letterboxd if you want to keep up with that and see what I'm doing and maybe get some movie recommendations, get ideas of movies you may not even heard of, because I just watch a lot of random stuff. So you can always do that as well. So I'm going to sign off here. I'll have 2 videos down below. I'll have a 2026 playlist here of all the 2026 movie reviews I've done so far, and then my most recent video. So you can always check those out as well. And I'm going to sign off here. Thanks one more time for watching. And as always, keep watching those movies, because those movies won't watch themselves.